Welcome to the No Quit Living podcast. Our primary objective is to motivate and inspire our listeners to never quit. The reality of life is simple. We all fall. We all fail. At times, we get knocked down. The question is, do we get back up? Are we stronger? Are we better prepared to attain the maximum of our potential? Thank you for joining our No Quit tribe. As you go for your greatness today, never quit. And remember, we rise by lifting others up. Welcome to episode number 261 of the No Quit Living podcast. I'm your host, Christopher J. Worth, and today's theme of the day is Never Stop Moving. Our quote of the day comes to us from Will Rogers. Even if you are on the right track, you'll get run over if you just sit there. Before we jump into today's episode, I would like to quickly mention an event that we are hosting live on Saturday, May 9th. This absolutely free event will feature 9 incredible speakers to help inspire and encourage us all to get through this together. If you would like more information, please reach out to me at chris@noquitliving.com, or you can find the registration information on our social media platforms. I'm super excited for today's episode. From college basketball to the NBA, to becoming a Hall of Fame professional speaker, and now as an author, Walter Bond is all about working hard. I hope you enjoy today's episode. Walter, I'd like to welcome you to the No Quit Living podcast.
Thank you. My pleasure. And I like your gear, man. That's some funky gear.
I appreciate it. So first question I ask everybody is, are you ready to positively impact at least one person today?
That's what I do for a living. I mean, Chris, I'm on Zoom or Skype all day. I just did a coaching session with the car dealership out of Maryland. I had 50 other leaders. So this is what I do all day. So it's much more than one person. Before the coronavirus, it was a couple thousand a week. You know, I do maybe 2 to 3 keynotes a week. The average audience is probably 1,000 people. So I'm still impacting people now. It's through technology and not live events.
Yeah, it's interesting that you touch on that. I think a lot of us are dealing with that same perspective of taking that message or mission and just switching the way in which we're doing it. Obviously, it's technology now. So first question I focus on in regards to is everybody's no-quit story. And I was curious if you yourself have either a no-quit story yourself or perhaps a really challenging time that tested you and you could have given up or given in, but you didn't.
Absolutely. You know, I'm a sports guy, and I know you speak to a lot of athletes and coaches. You know, I played in the NBA. I got a chance to be the starting 2 guard for the Dallas Mavericks. I played for the Utah Jazz, Detroit Pistons. But I had an interesting journey. I could have easily quit on my NBA pursuit. Some people think I had no business being there. The truth was, yes, I was a high school basketball star. I grew up in Chicago. I wasn't an All-American. I was All-State. And but in my mind, when I got to college, I just thought I was that dude. Right? I just, you know, like every athlete, I was the man and found myself on the bench. Didn't play at all my freshman year. Started hanging out, drinking too much. And in my mind, I was like, you know, everybody doesn't play in the NBA. You know, I'll just get a good education and graduate and get a good job. You know, my parents were teachers, so it wasn't like I was raised as NBA or nothing. I knew I could go and do other things. And so at a subconscious level, Chris, honestly, I kind of quit my freshman year. And the end of my freshman year, my dad called me on the phone. He was also my high school principal, long story. And he goes, "You didn't play, son. Why not?" And I said, "You know, Dad, politics, Dad. You know, it's political." And my father was a ball player. And he's like, "What?" And he asked me a question. You know, he was a no-nonsense kind of guy. And he was like, "How does your coach get paid?" You know, I'm playing Big Ten basketball. And I was like, well, honestly, he gets paid to win. And my father said this to me, Chris. He says, okay, if your coach gets paid to win, won't he play the players that give him the best chance to win? Now, we live in a world right now, we have the transfer portal that's jam-packed. Why? Because a lot of athletes are calling home to mom and dad having a similar situation, and mom and dad is helping them bail out. Now, my father's attitude was, look, son, you went through your recruiting trips. You took all your visits. You took your time. You chose Minnesota. Go make it work. And that was his basic message. You chose the University of Minnesota after 2 years of being recruited. You're basically not going to just run away because you didn't play as a freshman. And he began to ask me more questions. Well, are you working hard? Are you staying after practice? Are you doing extra work? Are you doing the things that it takes for you to play? You're at a new level, dude. Like, come on. Like, yeah, you were a high school basketball star, but everybody there was. That was a minimum requirement. And all of a sudden, I was like, Dad, I'm not working hard. Dad, I'm not doing. I was a freshman all over again, right? Just like in high school. I wasn't a day one star as a freshman. And I went to my coach, Coach Clem Haskins. And I didn't play, and I asked him a question. And he thought it was an odd question. But this was the question I asked him. I said, Coach, what do I need to do to play in the NBA? And he chuckled. And he looked at me like, dude, you don't play for me. And that's what I said to him. I said, Coach, I'm going to become somebody different. My parents were teachers. I'm very observant. Like, basically, like, okay, who do I need to become? Like, give me, kind of set the table for me. And he was like, son, you can't run, you can't jump, you can't dribble, you can't shoot, you can't rebound at an NBA level, basically. And he was like, look, this off season, I need you to work. Like, this off season, I need you to get better. It's not uncommon for your freshman year. I probably should have redshirted, in hindsight. But anyway, my off season, Chris, that's when I began to get back in the laboratory. In high school, I was just talented, right? I was just talented, have a high basketball IQ. Wasn't a lot of work involved in high school. I was just better than everybody else. When I got to college, I realized, hell, everybody here is good. And it was devastating initially, but then I realized I confused my potential with who I was at the time. And people do it all the time. They confuse their potential with who they are at the time. The only way you can reach your potential is by having some hard work. And I got in the laboratory, and the first time in my life, after almost quitting, I began to work. I began to train. I began to get in great shape and do sit-ups and push-ups, and I almost became Rocky getting ready for a championship fight. And I'll never forget the first 5 games of my sophomore year. I'm still sitting on the bench. And I went to my coach's office, and at this moment, I had confidence, I had conviction, because I've been working. And a lot of times, coaches put labels on you, and they do it quickly, right? The NFL draft does it. Oh, he's a special teamer. They just put a label on you. Or they might say, oh, he'll never get drafted. They'll put a label on you. Or they might say, oh, that's a can't-miss first-round pick. They'll put labels on you quickly. And so my coach would put a label on me. And I believe he was starting to recruit around me. And I can't get deep into that, but coaches will recruit around you when they think you can't get it done as a freshman, okay? And so I came to my coach's office, and I said, Coach, I can help your team win. He gave me a typical answer he probably gives bench warmers his whole career. And finally, Chris, he didn't know who he was talking to at that moment. And I said, Coach, what do you have to lose? We're losing anyway. We had a Big Ten losing streak when I was at Minnesota. I was like, dude, what do you have to lose? We're losing anyway. And he got very upset at me. And I was like, Coach, I didn't come in here for a fight, but I'm ready to help you win. Like, I get it. Freshman year, I wasn't ready. But I'm ready now. And I basically had to fight for my opportunity. And I teach people, man, you better speak up. Sometimes you gotta fight for your opportunity, right? And I said, Coach, I didn't come here for a fight. I can help your team win. That same season, Chris, by the year end, Dick Vitale dubbed me the top 6 man in the country. And my coach said, okay, I'll play you. I made a good point. Hell, we're losing anyway. Why not? Try it, right? And I began to take charges, dive on the floor for loose balls. I began to play a different role. I was just trying to earn respect and earn value. And before I knew it, I came off the bench, and that sophomore year, I averaged 10 points off the bench, and we lost to Duke in the Sweet 16. I went back to my coach's office as soon as the season ended, and I asked him the same question again. What do I need to do to play in the NBA? That junior year, 2 years in a row, I was top 6 man in the country. We had a really good team. And that junior year, we lost to Georgia Tech to go to the Final Four. They had Dennis Scott. They had Kenny Anderson. They had a really good team. And we lost to them by 2 points to go to the Final Four. By my senior year, I was a preseason All Big Ten selection. And my first game of my senior year, back then, if you're first team All Big Ten, you're pretty much guaranteed first round. And so the conference all believed, like, hey, this guy's doing this off the bench. I'm averaging 10 and 11 points off the bench. Hey, if this guy starts, hell, he couldn't do more. First game of my senior year, I broke my foot. Came back. We're playing Ohio State. They had a guy named Jimmy Jackson on national TV. We're going at it. Me and Jimmy, I had 15 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists. We were up on Ohio State in Columbus. Dick Vitale is going nuts on the sideline. Walter Buzzer, PT Pierre, this is his coming out party. And it was like I'm on a national stage. I'm playing against the top small forward in the country. And we're going toe-to-toe, neck and neck. And honestly, in the first half, I was out playing Jimmy. And in the back of my mind, I'm going to have a triple-double on national TV. I was like, man, if we win and I have a triple-double, game over, right? I've arrived. And the last game, shot of the first half, I broke my foot again. And I'm talking about that's the last college basketball game I played. And I ended up basically ending my career averaging 7 points a game. So the way it's set up that senior year, almost like Joe Burrow down at LSU, I had 1 year to show the whole world what I had, and then I broke my foot twice. And I was about to quit again. I got offered a job to become a hospital administrator, and then my dad called me again. And he said, hey, man, I just got out of surgery. I had a screw in my foot. They had done a bone graft, which means they had to take bone marrow out of my hip. My whole right leg was basically incapacitated. And I had a $75,000 job offer because the Twin Cities market, we were the only show in town. The season ticket holders liked us. You got a job, right? And I was about to take this job. And my dad was like, hey, son, how'd the surgery go? I was like, fine, Dad. I'm good. And he was like, what's next? And I said, Dad, I'm going to be a hospital administrator, $75,000 job. And he goes, can I ask you a question? I go like, yeah. Do you think you're good enough to play in the NBA? I was like, Dad, come on, man. Come on, Dad. No. Back up. We're not that family. I got educated. We're not desperate. We're not thirsty. I don't need basketball like that. He was like, look, man, do you think you're good enough to play in the NBA? I'm proud of you. You graduated in 4 years. You impacted your team off the bench. But are you good enough? Now, the backstory is I was named after his brother who played Major League Baseball. My uncle named Walt Bond was 6'7", home run hitter, played in the major leagues, and he died of leukemia when he was only 29.
Oh, wow.
He actually died during the season playing for the Minnesota Twins. So my dad named me after his brother. And so my dad saw the journey his brother took to make it to the majors, the ups and downs, the injuries, the frustrations. And he realized that I was going through a similar journey, and he knew how to support me. And he knew it was all mental, really. And he was like, do you think you're good enough? He said, man, if you can get one job, you can get another one. Do you believe you're good enough? And I was like, you know what? I hadn't really thought about it. I was just looking at my circumstances. I averaged 7 points a game. I didn't start in college. I got a $75,000 job. My resume didn't say NBA. My resume said move on. And I had just gotten out of surgery. And after my conversation with my dad, I was like, you know what? He's right. I do think I'm good enough. And I could work the rest of my life. A $75,000 job in 1991, that's a good job today for a college kid, right? And so they wanted me to be a hospital administrator. And I limped into my coach's office. I'll never forget. He had some recruits in town. These dudes had cleaned out my locker. I mean, the whole cycle was done, right? And I said, Coach, can I talk to you for a moment? And I was emotional. He said, yeah, sure, come on. The recruits waited out in the hallway. And through my emotions, I asked him that same question again. What do I need to do to play in the NBA? He got emotional. And he said, son, you're the toughest player I ever had. But I think you should be a motivational speaker. And I was like, what are you talking about? At 21 years old, I'm like, what are you talking about? All I could think about was the NBA. And he's like, son, I think you can make a lot of money as a motivational speaker. And I was like, whatever. What do I need to do to play in the NBA? He's like, man, if you do 2 things, you can play in the league. You got to lose about 15, 20 pounds, and you got to knock down the 3. If you can do those 2 things, you can play in the NBA. But I think you should be a motivational speaker. Long story short, Chris, I lost 20 pounds. And I would get in the gym, back in the lab, and every year I was most improved player, right? So I've been working ever since my freshman year. So to answer your question, I almost quit twice. My freshman year, I was about to quit, but my dad stepped in, and I was about to quit on my NBA dream. And basically, he kept it on life support for me until I grabbed it again, until I could start breathing it again, right? And so, long story short, I ended up becoming the first ever undrafted rookie free agent in the history of the Dallas Mavericks to start opening night. Luka Doncic just broke my rookie scoring record with the Dallas Mavericks. It stood for 20-plus years. I scored the most points by a Dallas rookie in the first 3 games. And Luka Doncic broke it last year. And so to answer your question, when I get a request to come on the No Quit podcast, I'm a Hall of Fame speaker. I spoke in front of 25,000. I got a best-selling book. People are like, oh, man, you're amazing. You're awesome. I'm like, oh, thank you. But they don't know the backstory. They don't know the journey. And so I relate to people like, look, I almost quit. I've had bad attitudes. It looks like I'm on top right now, but trust me, I scraped the bottom. And the quit, honestly, it's a mindset issue. And if I didn't have anybody there helping me with my mindset at the right times, there's no telling where I would be. I wouldn't be on this podcast. So if you look at the world we live in, let's talk sports. When did Tiger Woods fall apart? When his dad died. People want to talk about his knee. People want to talk about his back. I pay attention. Tiger Woods began to struggle when his father passed away because he lost that support. When did Michael Jordan go and play baseball?
His dad passed away.
His dad. Thank you. And I don't know what the connection was to baseball. I don't even know if Tiger Woods knows what's going on with him. I don't know if Michael Jordan really knows, but I guarantee you, Chris, that his father either loved baseball or his father used to tell Mike, you should have played baseball. Or they used to sit around and watch baseball. There was some way that Michael Jordan was grieving his father, and baseball was a part of that grieving process. I lost my father. Now, you guys know how pivotal he was in my development, how much he supported me. He was my high school principal. And so when he passed away, I lost my support. I lost that person that could help me with my mindset. I would talk to him after every game, whether I won the game, lost the game, whether I played, didn't play. I spent a lot of time on the bench, Chris. There was many games where I called my old man after a game and I'm sad because I didn't play. In the NBA, grown man, in college sitting on the bench, and he always knew the right thing to say. He sometimes knew when to say nothing. And so the point is that when people quit, it's a mindset issue. When people quit, it's because they don't have support. And that's why I'm on a mission. You see me with a shirt on, it's called Shark Mindset. And one day I went fishing, and I had no idea I was going to come out with a best-selling book. I caught a fish called a sucker fish. And this is the ugliest fish you've ever seen. When I brought the fish on the boat, the captain goes, wow, you caught a sucker fish. And I was like, can we eat it? That's all I care about. And he's like, no, but watch this. Chris, he takes the sucker fish and he sticks it on the top of the boat. And this fish is called a sucker fish because it has suctions on the top of his head. And it was up there for like 3 minutes defying gravity. And finally, I was like, dude, we need to get this fish in the water. And my question was, how does this fish make it in the ocean? What the heck is going on here? And he goes, man, a sucker fish flails in the ocean waiting for a shark to come by. And when a shark comes by, it uses that suction to connect to a shark. And that shark will take that sucker fish deep into that ocean. That shark will take the sucker fish places that it's not strong enough to get there on their own. Chris, all of a sudden, I was like, oh my God. That's how I made it to the NBA. I was a sucker fish waiting for my shark to come by. That's how I became an award-winning Hall of Fame motivational speaker. I had coaches. I had mentors. I was a sucker fish, broke. When my NBA career ended, I didn't make big money. Right? At 31, 32, every offer I got was entry level. And I was like, dude, I don't have entry level bills. I got a wife, 3 kids. And I was like, dude. And I remember what my coach said. And all of a sudden, I sought out mentors who basically taught me to speak in business, taught me how to build a speaking business. So long story short, and missing my dad when I went fishing that day, when I caught that sucker fish, the light clicked on. That's the key to success. We got to have mentors. We all need support. We all need coaches. I don't care if you're Michael Jordan. He's human. He needs support. I don't care if you're Tiger Woods. He's human. He needs support. My success has been based on my coaches. My success has been based on mentorship. And if I go around here talking about that I'm just the man and I'm lying because of me, that's a lie. I've had moments I wanted to quit. I wanted to fail. And there were people strategically placed in my life that wouldn't let me quit. And so now when I came home fishing, my wife goes, how'd the fishing trip go? I go, great. I didn't catch one fish. And she's looking at me like, what are you talking about? Like, where's the fish? I'm like, babe, don't worry about the fish. I got an idea for a book. And I told her about the shark, the suckerfish, and the parasite. I don't have time to go over the parasite yet. And she looks at me after I explained to her the metaphor of how they all work, the shark, the suckerfish, and the parasite. She's like, wow, I like it. We called a publisher called Wiley Publishing. We talked to them for 15 minutes about the shark, the suckerfish, and the parasite. And Wiley goes, oh my God, we want to do the book. We want to do that book. In 9 months, it's a bestseller. I got a text today from one of the leaders at the University of Minnesota. It's something called the M Club. It's where all the athletes belong to this group, both current and former. And he's a former football player, a guy named Steve Davis. He says, Walter, I just read Swim. It's amazing. And I want to live my life based on the sacred six. Inside the book, we basically map out why sharks run the ocean. There's only one fish we worry about in that ocean. Am I right or wrong?
Oh, yeah.
If you take your kids to the beach, you only worry about one fish. It's called a shark. And we teach through the book not only leadership, we teach the beauty of mentorship. And I got grown men calling me saying, Walter, I've never read a business book and cried. And here's why. We have ignored how important mentorship is to leadership. We're in this world, we want to create great leaders and they don't have a clue how to mentor. Great leaders know how to mentor. My father was my father, but he was also my mentor. My father was my high school principal, but he was also my mentor. My college basketball coach was my coach, but he was also my mentor. In other words, his job was to help me develop. When I get inside of companies, most leaders aren't coaches. Most leaders don't even understand mentorship. All they are fruit inspectors. Well, I like that sales guy. I'll get rid of him. He's a bum. Get rid of him. I like her. And like, dude, who are you coaching? Bill Belichick got his hands on Tom Brady, a 6th-round pick, and transformed him into the greatest quarterback of all time. Tom Brady didn't even crack the starting lineup in Michigan. Bill Belichick is a coach. He developed Tom Brady. And when they win Super Bowls, have you ever noticed how they embrace at the end of the game? They embrace like father, son. They embrace like, man, I love you and you love me. I respect you and you respect me. We could not have done it without each other. That's what mentorship is all about. So I got business people calling me, Chris, in tears because they realize they've been leading, but they've not been coaching. They realize they've been leading, but they've not been mentoring. I was a C student until my shark came by. And that's the power of mentorship. We got a world full of average people. And great coaches, great mentors can take an average guy like Tom Brady and transform him. Michael Jordan got cut off his high school team. He wasn't a super duper star in North Carolina, but let me tell you something. Phil Jackson got his hands on Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan didn't look that good when he got to Washington Wizards. Well, he was old. Well, how old is Tom Brady? How old is Drew Brees? I played with Karl Malone and John Stockton. They were old when I got to Utah, but they still look good because they had good coaching.
I love it. I think you touched on some really key things, and one of the things I want to touch on is the mentorship. But to take a step back for a second, you said it, I believe, 3 different times, getting into the lab, and I think that's something that in today's day and age, a lot of people miss in the respect of social media and this instant gratification. And I think within social media, you see that end result. You see that first-round draft pick. You see that championship. But it's impossible via social media to show what happens behind the scenes. It's impossible to show all the work, all the conversations that you're having with your coach and the conversations you asked him. But you spoke about something that I want to touch on for a second that I think is super important, and similar to you in my speaking career and with the podcast, I've had some amazing people that are top rated in their fields and their endeavors, and they've mentored me along the way. And one of the things we often talk about at No Quit Living is the idea of accountability partners. And I'm curious if you've ever had an accountability partner, or do you equate that to be the exact same thing as a mentor?
Absolutely. Again, I told you earlier that, my family obviously played a big role in that. I come from a sports family. My big sister won championships at USC. She was teammates with a girl named Cheryl Miller. And in 4 years, basically, I was 13, 14 years old. I'm driving around the country watching my sister collect hardware. And they had the Pam and Paula McGee twins. They had a girl named Cynthia Cooper. They were stacked. And it was cool because me and my sister wore the same size shoe. So I got a lot of USC gear. But, my family was very savvy. My dad's in the Hall of Fame in his college. My uncle played Major League Baseball. My sister was a Division I champion. So when I came through, my family was savvy, and they knew what to say. They knew the industry. They understood the pro aspect. They understood amateur. They understood recruiting. And the mentorship, a part of it is accountability, right? And so we live in a world where, people just want to have success overnight. It is a process to be successful. And one of the sacred 6, I don't want to give all 6 away, but one reason the sharks run the ocean is simple. The moment they are born, they're in constant movement. If a shark stops moving, it literally will drown. So think about the metaphor. The work ethic of a shark is unparalleled in the ocean. There's no other fish that works harder than the shark. Why was Kobe held in such high esteem? His work ethic. Why is Michael Jordan held in such high esteem? Work ethic. But I could take it to entertainment. Why do people love Beyonce? Because she works hard. They call James Brown the hardest working man in show business. I don't care how talented you are. If you don't work hard, it don't matter. I'm sure we all know great athletes who didn't make it. So talent is not enough. I'm a Chicago guy. What? I can give you an all-Chicago team that you never heard of. That if I went back to Chicago, the people in Chicago that know these guys would say, man, I thought for sure he was a can't-miss NBA superstar. I know for sure that guy was going to be first round. I can't believe he didn't make it. Talent is just part of the deal. And so sharks work hard. And my father had to teach me I wasn't working hard. You can't reach your potential if you don't work hard. You can't be successful if you don't work hard. I guarantee you most people who quit aren't working hard. My father, first question he asked me when I was making excuses was, dude, are you working hard? You're not playing, but are you working hard? And honestly, I was like, oh, no. Hadn't really thought about it. So hard work is the number one of the sacred 6 that we teach people. And it's the only way you can get to the top of your industry. It's the only way you can get to the top of your food chain. You can't stop moving. I don't care if it's a coronavirus, don't stop moving or you die. And that's the mindset that we teach people through the books on.
I love it. And I think you touched on some very powerful things. And I think the hard work perspective is something that is unbelievable. And I am going to botch the quote, but there's a quote out there is hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work enough. And I think that's so key. And to your point about the Chicago people that you know and talk about not making it in a sense, it's spot on. As we all know those people, actors, entertainers, and there might be people that are less talented than them, but they put in an inordinate amount of work. And I talk about all the time with No Quit Living is action and hard work is key. You can take somebody that has the most amazing talent, but if he or she puts in little to no hard work or little to no action, that person has average skills but puts in an inordinate amount of hard work and has mentors and has people in his or her corner, they're going to be successful because it comes down to that hard work. Now, talent wins every now and then, and you'll win a game or two, but if you look at in sports, the teams that are consistent, those are the ones that continually outwork the competition.
Well, I'm a football nut, right? And I love football. And when you look at the football season, especially college football, nobody really wants to play the Navy. Nobody really wants to play the Air Force because everybody knows, you know what? They're not winning any recruiting battles. But if you don't come to play, they're going to kick your butt. And every year they upset Division I schools. And a lot of people don't want to play them because of that reason. And so to your point, there's no substitute for the only thing I can't do for a person is help them with the effort. When we coach people, if they bring the effort, we can almost do everything else as coaches. But the one thing we can't do is bring the effort for other people. And to your point, I've never met a superstar athlete who didn't have an amazing work ethic.
That is so true, and I think you mentioned Beyonce and some other people as well, James Brown, and it's the same thing. You fill in the blank. It's interchangeable, whether it's sports, whether it's entertainment, whether it's movies, whether it's a businessman. It all comes down to the hard work, and I really appreciate you touching that. So for our listeners out there that would like to find out more about you as well as your book, what's the best way for them to do so, and are you also active on social media?
We do all social media. We're big on Instagram, which is Walter_Bond. We're big on LinkedIn. The best thing to do, though, is to go to our website, which is walterbond.com. And for free, you can download your own Shark Mindset Action Plan. And the very first question we ask is, how do you respond and react in a crisis? And honestly, if you really study sharks, when you look at a shark, they got scars. They've been in some battles. They've been in some wounds. But, hey, they don't stop moving. And to me, I've been in some battles. I got scars, but I didn't stop moving. And right now, a lot of former players, we coach them, and they really look up to us because they admire the success that I had after sports. And I tell a lot of guys, like, look, you stopped moving. Like when basketball was over, you stopped moving. When football was over, you stopped moving. As soon as basketball was over, my wife and I kept it moving. I mean, we pretty much launched our training and development company within a year of me retiring. I broadcasted with the Timberwolves a couple of years, but for the most part, I mean, we never stopped moving. As soon as basketball was over, it was like next. What's next? And so we're qualified now as a former NBA ball player, Hall of Fame speaker. We work with big companies, Jersey Mike subs, big companies. We got big casinos we work with. I just got off the phone with a car dealership. We have medical device companies that we work with and help their sales force. And really, it's like everything. I'm a fundamentals guy. To play in the NBA, you had to master the fundamentals. You had to dribble at a high level. You had to rebound at a high level. You had to shoot at a high level. And that's what LeBron James does. And he's a high-level athlete, right? And so that's why he's great. And so when we get inside of companies, I'm like, who taught you how to lead? And they're looking at me like, huh? Who taught you how to market? And they're looking dumbfounded. I'm like, well, if you saw a basketball player who couldn't dribble, wouldn't that be odd? Well, the same thing is true for me. You're a business leader and you don't know how to market. You're a business leader. You don't know how to build a brand. You don't know how to lead. You don't know how to build culture. You don't have core values. So my company, we take big companies through very basic but powerful, explosive concepts that can help position them to reach their potential in business. And when we get done, they look at us like, dude, this is like some good stuff. And it's simple. I've been able to become the best in the world in 2 different industries. And I almost quit. And I flunked out of my first high school. I didn't tell you that part. That's why I transferred to my dad's high school. I mean, I was failing in the classroom, and I'm the youngest, and he basically sold my mom on, hey, I'm going to have Walter come to my school, and I'm going to keep an eye on him, and I'm going to make sure he gets his act together in the classroom. And so on the way to school, every morning, he would just ask me questions. You know, how's chemistry? When's your next test? Good game last night, but are you studying? When's your paper due? Good game. You're going to recruit this weekend, but hey, what's your GPA? And just having that voice to say, hey, man, I'm proud of you as an athlete. I'll never forget. He told me, this family produces student athletes.
I like that.
After I flunked out of my first high school. Leaders, listen to me carefully. When you lead, people almost always rise up to the expectations you set. He said, this family, my brother and sister were really good students. And I wasn't. And he was like, you're just as smart as your brother and sister, but your value system is screwed up. All you care about is sports. But this family produces student athletes. I transferred to his school, Chris, and before I knew it, my 2.2 turned into a 2.9. And then all of a sudden, I wanted a 3.0. And all I wanted was a 3.0. And I began to look at a 3.0 no different than, beating King High School. I looked at it no different than playing against the Chicago Bulls. And I went to my counselor, and I was fired up. And I was like, what do I need to do to get a 3.0? And she was like, Walter, you're doing great. But honestly, you were in such bad shape, it's mathematically impossible. And that hurt so good. And she was like, the 2.9 is about the best you can do. And I never forgot that, like, oh, man, I sabotaged myself. And so that 2.9 was almost like a flag I buried in the ground that I would never sabotage me again. And I graduated in 4 years, and academically, I never looked back. But it took mentorship. It took coaching. It took patience until I got my mindset right about education, until I got my mindset right about learning. Let me say this. There's not a dumb athlete on the planet. A Division I athlete is not dumb. They might not be academic, but they are not dumb. Because to play at a high level, you got IQ. Mm-hmm. You look at a playbook in football, is that thick. And you're thinking instantaneously in the moment. So these athletes are not dumb. They might not be academic because nobody's ever pushed them to learn in the academic environment because they go to practice and learn. They know the plays. So if you can learn the plays, you can learn how to read. If you know the plays, you can learn how to count. If you know the plays, you can learn algebra. You can learn a foreign language. But you care about sports a whole lot more than you care about school. And honestly, I'm not judging because a long time that was me.
I love it. So last question I ask everybody, and I'm curious for your answers. If you have any parting words you'd like to leave with our listeners today.
Simple, get connected. We are experts in helping you with your mindset. My mindset almost cost me my NBA career. My mindset almost cost me success in business. And the only thing that rescued me was coaching and mentorship. And so my wife and I and our company, we're on a mission to help you with your mindset. And that's what we do. We can't help you with your skill set, but we can help you with your mindset. And all of our clients, whether it's small businesses, individual professionals, colleges, they want mindset training. And we teach them the Sacred Six through our book, Swim. So my parting thing would be like, if you really want to get connected to us, buy the book, Swim, and read it. And then get connected to our social media because you're going to get it. We get testimonials after testimonials. I read a testimonial Monday, and I was in the office by myself, and I had tears flowing down my eyes. It was a business guy, and he was like, man, I had a couple of businesses fail. I was depressed. I almost quit until I heard you speak and I read your book. And now, basically, he's a Canadian guy up in Canada. He said, I just launched another company. We're doing great. I reconnected with a colleague in the past who believed in me. We launched a new product, and we are killing it. And I want to thank you. He wrote this all out in the letter. He gave me the detail of how he failed, how he almost quit. And he almost hinted that he was thinking about suicide. He didn't say it, but the way the letter framed up, it was like, dude, I was about to throw in the towel. And I was like, and by the end of it, he was like, because I heard you speak, I heard your story, and I read your book, Swim, and now I'm like a shark who won't stop moving. And man, I sat in my office and I teach my business people, man, don't focus on money. Focus on making a difference. Because if you focus on making a difference, the money will show up. If you focus on becoming the best in the world, the money gonna follow. Most business people who hit plateaus is because all they worry about is money. If all you care about is money, the moment you get enough money, you're done. Don't focus on money. Focus on being the best in the world at what you do. And the money will be the reward for being the best. Tiger Woods ain't worrying about money. He's a billionaire. But he wants to get back on that golf course. And he wants to finish out his career the champion he knows he's supposed to be. So LeBron ain't playing for money anymore.
No.
LeBron want more rings so he can be respected and honored with Michael Jordan. Maybe when I'm done, people will agree that I'm better than Mike. That's what's driving him. There's a conversation now. We never thought we would have a conversation. When Michael Jordan ended his career, we all believed we had just witnessed the best basketball player ever. What's driving LeBron right now is not money. What's driving him is that conversation. Am I maybe the best of all time? Will I be able to sway the public opinion and everyone will believe that I surpassed Michael Jordan and I'm the greatest? That's what's driving LeBron. It's not money. It's the pursuit of being the best. Right now, I don't focus on money. I just want to be the best coach in business. I want to be the best motivational speaker in business. I want to write best-selling books again and again. I want to help 1 million people again and again. And I happen to realize that if I do it, the money gonna show up. So I don't have to worry about the money. I want to pursue greatness because I know the financial benefit is a result of being great.
I love it. I think that's a perfect way to end today's episode, and I truly appreciate what you shared. I definitely hope that our listeners connect with you and get a copy of your book, and I hope that you and I can connect again soon.
Absolutely. I had a great time. Thanks for having me, Chris, and see you soon, man. Stay safe. Wash your hands. Stay safe.
Thank you for listening to episode number 261. Walter Bond was lucky to have some influential mentors throughout his life, but he has earned every single part of his success through sheer hard work and determination. I love how Walter uses the analogy of the shark and how it never stops moving. Probably something we all need to be reminded, especially when it comes to working hard. In his parting words, Walter said 2 things that I thought were very powerful: focusing on making a difference and always trying to be the best in the world at what you do. During these difficult times, I challenge each and every one of you to strive to become the best version of yourself. And remember, we rise by lifting others up. And lastly, to our listeners, thank you. We truly appreciate your time, and we hope our episodes inspire you to keep on attacking life and never giving up. To quote Dr. Norman Vincent Peale, it's always too early to quit.